There it was. Skyripper's armature. The stuff that dreams are made of. Engineers' dreams, anyway. The device was intricate. How is it part of a weapon at all? He'd have to ask a scientist. But first, he'd get the second piece. Skyripper had a heart. A core that had come to rest on the next island. Well, there was another island he could reach. Zenobia had just invaded it with her father's Raven battalions. She must be encamped there still. But fighting Zenobia now, that made no sense at all. He'd already sacrificed one friend to get this armature, was it? He didn't need... asked himself why he changed course to confront Zenobia. He'd no idea. Sometimes he would just do things, and he could never figure out why he'd done them. The truth is, though, he wanted to see her, wasn't it? It had been a dozen years since Swordfu School. He'd followed every rumor about her, every scrap of news. Not that he still loved her. After all, she was his enemy. No, it was solely because, know your enemy. But it would be great to see her. Even if they faced off across sword points, as they'd done so many times at school. The world was a less interesting place without her. Have you ever felt you're just going round in circles? Bernardo felt like that. I wonder what I could make with all these sword crafting materials, thought Bernardo.
mother had never let him wave his sword around at home. He guessed he was still compensating for that.
Gogglers. Renato hated gogglers. It was almost impossible to sneak past them. If one didn't spot you, another one would. Hey, how do you tell if someone's far away or just really small? Renato wasn't entirely sure how he was going to capture Zenobia. She'd be expecting him. And he didn't have Lapino to cook up a clever plan. Why was it again that he hadn't got the core? A crafting bench. Renato wondered what he could make with it. He wasn't that good. Yet. Come over here. he thought. I'm the hero. Everything hurt. And then it didn't. Okay, let's get this over with, and we can all go home. Well, not you, just me. Reynardo slinked through Zenobia's ship, making no sound at all. Where were her guards? Finally, he reached her bedroom. She was curled up on her bed. Oh, he'd forgotten how beautiful she was. How sleek, how soft. He tapped her on the shoulder with his sword. She vanished, and he suddenly noticed he couldn't move except his mouth. In fact, Sudi couldn't keep his mouth shut. He told Zenobia everything. Sky Ripper, the rebellion plans, even where the secret rebel base was, until he was hoarse. It was some kind of truth spell. A talky truth spell. She called her father by Farspeaker Toad and filled His Majesty in.
But why didn't he get the core?
Croaked the Farspeaker in something like His Majesty's croak. Because I missed you, darling. Reynardo grinned. He doesn't even know why, frowned Zenobia.
That makes no sense. It's a trap,
Shouted the Emperor.
I'll meet you at the outpost, and I'll bring my interrogators.
If Reynardo came face to face with the Emperor, maybe he could assassinate him. But maybe it would be smarter and safer to turn Zenobia against her father. you doing? Asked Zenobia. Did you ever wonder why the Emperor adopted you? He asked her. She shook her head. He told her. His Majesty wanted to bring the lost gods back. They could make him an eater of souls, an immortal. But to seal his bargain with them, he needed a sacrifice. Someone who truly loved him. She was stunned. Furious. You're lying. Under a truce spell? It's a trick. You can't prove that. Take me to the observatory, and I will. What kind of proof could you possibly have? She said as they landed on the Nexus. Your father ritually sacrificed a village, and he left witnesses? The scientists resurrected one. Well, it's not really alive, but it can talk. A true witness. She frowned. The dead can't lie. Well, I bet they could. They just don't have any reason to. She nodded. Grimly. That was always a rush. Ronaldo felt like he was ready to learn new things. Thank goodness he didn't have to go to school for that. Missed his old skills. He welcomed them back like he was at a reunion. What does the fox say? Asked one raven. Another one called back, "Oh, I'm dying!" And they both laughed hysterically. She caught up with him. She seemed troubled. All right, out with it, he said. He sent his ravens to search for an ancient crystal. Something called the Iblis Stone. Iblis? Isn't he one of the lost gods? He shivered. A stone dedicated to one of the lost gods. Well, that could give great power. But what would the god demand in return? A very clever engineer named Elon Muskrat got his start making floating platforms. Not many people knew that. The Emperor had learned enough secrets from Renato to crush the rebellion. It will be a fair trade if the scientists could convince Zenobia to change sides. Want to hook up? The way they stayed back and lobbed pain and death from a distance. Cowards. Really dangerous, effective cowards. Renato hoped his mother wasn't watching. The observatory was a burning hulk. Dead scientists and black feathers everywhere. The ravens had burned the reanimated witness to cinders. Renato was stunned. There goes my proof. These were scientists, not rebels, Zenobia said, upset. Why would he do this? I don't know. Let's go to the fleet and ask him. Yes. I'll meet you on the mountains. There's something I have to get first. But could he afford to meet her in the mountains? He'd given the Empire the location of the secret rebel base. They would need rescuing. Why was he going to meet up with her? Wasn't it more important to rescue the Rebel Council from the almost certain Imperial attack? Why was he in this war anyway? Was it really to fight the good fight, or did he just want to see her again? One of these days, Renato thought, I should really figure out my motives before I pounce. Nah. Was it true? Was he on this adventure just to see Zenobia again? The Imperial heir was not an easy cat to see. Well, she'd ignored all his Kwanzaa gifts. And on the other paw, trying to get a date by joining a war against your intended was, let's say, pretty optimistic. But on the back paw, thought Renato, yes, it sounded exactly like him. Good, I'm so glad we had this little chat, he told himself. This burning sword from the south was terrific for barbecuing sausages and ravens. Hurt. Said Renato, in your next life. Smashing things was fun. This was definitely better than pulling yourself up in a bucket. There are a lot of dead ravens along the side of the road. Someone had rampaged through here on a killing spree. What had Zenobia gone to get? He had a chilling feeling. He could recognize her blade work in the wounds of the dead birds. Why had she killed them? Surely her father's soldiers were no threat to her. Renado's paws were getting numb. Calaveras really didn't want company, did he? Renado felt a little bad stealing crafting materials from chests. He preferred to rob them from people at sword point. As for the gate, well, he could take her or leave her. Sorry, it's best I could do. Renado wondered if his future self had commissioned these poles. He reached the summit, expecting no one. But there she was, steaming, pacing. "I'm gonna kill him," she said. "I'm gonna kill all his ravens, and then him, and then his family, and all the eggs and tadpoles. And then I'm gonna burn down their pond." "Did you
go and get the Iblis stone? You see, all these ravens I killed. So much power.
Are you feeling normal? Because you seem a little bloodthirsty.
Yes, obviously it wants blood. Demons always want blood.
You really want power from a demonic rock?
You want the stone, don't you?
Not really.
Good. I'd rather not have to kill you.
He told her he loved her. That he wouldn't let the Iblis stone take her, even if he had to die for it. Well, he planned to tell her. Now didn't seem like the right time. She'd probably cool off in a bit. So he let her get in her ship and fly off.
He rushed back to the Farfarer and followed her, keeping a healthy distance.
Zenobia's ship was just visible through the clouds ahead. How could he reason with her? But he had to. The rebels were down for the count. No wonder. He'd betrayed the location of their base and then he'd abandoned them. And if she became Empress while she was in the grip of the Iblis stone, if she became Empress by murdering her father, she could still be a great Empress. But she could also be a nightmare Empress.
She had to be stopped.
There were more dead ravens along his path. Some of them, this
Sharp? Check. Pointy? Check. Flexible? Check. What else do you need in a sword?